there was concern up to about 70 minutes. I think for Manchester City, it was a tough game for them. I think having so many players come back from international duty, they looked a little bit jaded, a little bit fatigue had set in. They certainly weren't sharp. They didn't really test Ben Foster at all, although they maybe had the better of the chances during the game. I just think it's one of those. City aren't playing well at the moment, but as we've seen Manchester United do so many times before, they're winning games and not playing well. They're relying on Dzeko, which unfortunately for him has become a bit of a super sub. He doesn't want to be labelled as that, but that's what he is at the moment. And they dug themselves out of a hole yesterday.
As you say, they really did. It was a really good result. West Brom, great start at home for them this season. They're obviously a team who are really established in the Premier League now. It was a really good result, especially considering they had James Milner sent off as well.
I was just a little bit disappointed with West Brom actually. After Milner got sent off, and it's his first ever sending off as well. He took it well. There was no other option for the referee. Once he brought him down and missed the ball, then that was it. He had no choice but to go. Red card. I really thought then that West Brom would take the game to City, and they didn't really. Both teams were a little bit lethargic. Neither of them really went for it until obviously City, the final few minutes, obviously when Mancini made some inspired substitutions, and yet again an injury time winner, and maybe Fergie time is changing to Mancini time.
Games coming up, they've got Swansea at home, West Ham away, Spurs at home as well, with a couple of games in the Champions League against Ajax. How do you kind of see those panning out for them?
It's going to be difficult for City in the fact that they're expected to retain the title in the Premier League, but they have to do well in the Champions League. I think if they don't win the title, they have to at least get to the semi-final, probably of the Champions League, possibly for Mancini to retain his job. The pressure is that intense at City. They've struggled so far in the Champions League. It hasn't gone well. Got a huge game against Ajax coming up. And then of course away to Dortmund is going to be a real struggle for them, I think.
Why do you think they haven't clicked in the Champions League? What's different?
I'm just not quite sure that City are solid enough. For me, even last season, that they've lacked a real quality centre-half to go alongside Vincent Kompany. Yes, I know they've brought in, obviously, Mika Richards has played there in and out. Obviously Lescott for me is a good player, but he's not quite Champions League winner standard, if you like. And after that, they've struggled a little bit, and that backbone, that the midfield is ultra strong. Up front, obviously there was issues last year with Tevez. Obviously Aguero came in and done well. At the moment, City, it hasn't quite worked for them. Maybe for me, there's almost too many players in that midfield area, and maybe that's causing one or two problems.
You say they need to do well in the Champions League possibly for Mancini to retain his job. What's a successful season for them this year?
Well, I said if Manchester City don't win the title and don't retain the Premier League, I think they have to get to the semi-final of the Champions League. If they finish second in the league and then get knocked out in the group stages, or the quarter-final stages of the Champions League, or if they don't qualify from the group, I think that'll almost be seen as disaster. The owners will want to see progression. So obviously winning the title, the only way to progress is to win it again. And obviously Champions League-wise was a poor showing last season. They really got hammered in that first game, and that set them back. And of course they were a little bit lucky to come back against Dortmund and nick that point. If they'd lost their first two opening games, then they'd have really been struggling.